Trilogy, The Four Messiahs, Chapter 13. Mary, Mary, Rachel screamed in a loud voice as she ran down the walk. It had been a long, hot day. The journey back to Nazareth was on a rough roadway, and Mary was exhausted. But the sight of Rachel refreshed her. It was Sunday. Mary was now 5 months pregnant and beginning to show a little tummy in front. Her height kept it from being very noticeable. Rachel certainly couldn't tell, nor the boys, but other women would certainly be more discerning. She picked up Rachel in her arms and kissed her. "Good to see you, Rach. You're growing so fast," Mary said. She was now holding her stepdaughter. It felt strange yet wonderful. "Hi, Mary. Welcome home." It was Jed. "I'm so glad you're here. Math was a disaster last year. School would start in another week." "Where's your dad and Josh?" "Josh is over at Michael's. Dad's out back." Dad, she thought. He's my husband, my love. She had missed him so much. God would take care of everything. She must trust God. She must. "Hi, Mary. It's so good to see you." She wanted to run into his arms and be held by him. Pregnancy was so lonely. "Hi, dear Joseph. It's so good to be home." She realized the slip, but Jed didn't pick up on it. "Here, sit down, Jed. Get Mary a cool drink." "Where is it, Dad?" Jed asked. "You know. Now hurry," Joseph said firmly. "You must be exhausted. Rachel, get down." Rachel had been climbing into Mary's lap. It was a little harder to hold her. Being 5 months pregnant did make a difference. She's okay, Rachel," Joseph said reprovingly. "Better obey your dad," Mary said, somewhat relieved. She had not yet felt the baby move and was a little concerned. She and Joseph had written each other nearly every week. Joseph had been careful to pick up on the mail early, but one night he got home late. He overslept the next morning, and the mail had come early. He saw an open letter on the kitchen table. It had been one of Mary's newsier letters, but it ended with the words, "I miss you and I love you." It was signed, "Love, Mary." Only Josh was up that early. Joseph didn't think he'd read it. Josh had finished the 2nd grade that spring and could read some. Nothing was said, but Joseph was more careful from then on. He would tell the children all the details when the time was right. Mary had thought of going home to see her mother first, but she decided not to. Things were different now. But things would work out. Everything had happened so fast. She'd had so little time to enjoy it, and the pregnancy already seemed so long. Why couldn't God make babies in 3 months? Maybe it was all Eve's fault that women were cursed with 9 months of pregnancy and painful deliveries, she thought. No, Eve was the victim. They were all victims of that deadly snake, and she was carrying the one who would save them all, even poor little Eve herself. "Mary, Mary, what did you bring me?" Rachel asked. "You'll have to wait until morning," Mary said. "I'll unpack then. I just might have a surprise for you." She then remembered the Caesar bar. She had one left from the trip. "I think I do have one thing left in my pocket." She reached in her coat, undid the string from her inside pocket, and held up the bar. "Here you are, but you must share it with your brother Jed." "Me share candy," the ecstatic Rachel agreed. "No, you eat it, Rach," Joseph said. "Daddy want some?" "No, you eat it, honey. You're always short on energy," Joseph said, laughing. Just then Josh came in. "Hi, Josh," Mary said. This would be her family now. "Hi," Josh said in a barely audible tone. He then turned and went into his room. "Josh, that's no way to talk to your ma—" He had almost said the word mother. Mary was his stepmother now. Joseph wondered if Josh had read and understood the letter. The elder Rachel had died when Josh was 4, and he knew Josh did remember her. Joseph got up, went to the bedroom, and said, "Son, I will not tolerate rudeness. Now come back in the living room and give Mary a hug." Josh knew there was no use arguing. He hugged Mary briefly. "You're getting fat," he blurted out. "Josh," Joseph raised his voice. It's okay, Mary said. She put her arm on Josh's shoulder, but he pulled away. Joseph looked at Mary, and Mary looked back at Joseph. "We better do it now," Mary said. "No time like the present," Joseph shrugged. "Children," they said simultaneously. "Children, Mary and I have something to tell you," Joseph began. "Is it another surprise?" Rachel piped up. Is it ever, he thought. He looked toward Mary for help. Mary said, Jed, your father and I were married just before I left in April. What day? Jed interrupted. April 8th, Joseph said. So Mary is now your new mother. Joseph put his arm around her shoulder. The three responses were predictable. Yay, Jed gave a cheer. She's not my mom, Josh said, scowling. Mary, my mommy, Rachel said, and hugged Mary around the neck, repeating the phrase over and over again. Mary felt tears running down her cheeks. Joseph turned away. A tear had come to his right eye, but he was too proud to let anyone see it. Mary saw it, however. Joseph knew from experience that he couldn't keep anything from the woman he loved. There's one more thing, Joseph said, recovering his composure. Mary and I are going to have a baby. When? Jed asked. Me get brother today, Rachel beamed. Soon, Mary said. How does Rachel know? It will be a boy. She looked at Joseph, who was wondering the same thing. Josh sat silently. He clearly did not like this invasion of his life. He liked things the way they were. Mary stayed the night in Joseph's room. They would have to make this look good for the kids. After all, they were married. Finally, when they were alone, Joseph knelt in front of her as she sat on the bed. He took both her hands in his and kissed her gently. The kiss was so sweet, it must have lasted 5 minutes.